Hi class, today we're going to be going over something that we learned in Chapter 3 lecture. We're going to understand the difference between general motor ability and specificity of motor abilities, and how each one explains why people learn and perform physical skills a little differently than one another. Have you ever noticed how some people are just naturally good at sports or anything like that? It's easy to assume that some people are just athletic, but there's honestly way more to it. This often comes down to something called motor abilities, the natural traits that we're born with that affect how we move and how easily we can learn new skills. There's a theory that tries to explain this as general motor ability hypothesis. The idea is that if you have one motor ability that applies to everything, you should be good at everything. For example, if you're really good at basketball, you should be really good at baseball, football, any other sport, because you're all drawing from the same basic skill set. But in reality, that's not really the case. Most people aren't actually amazing at everything. Research has found very little to support this theory, and in fact, there's tests that even proved it doesn't really just because you're good at one thing, it's not really going to predict how good you are at different skill sets across. The more widely accepted idea is specificity of motor abilities hypothesis. This theory states that we just don't have one motor ability, we have many of them, and they're mostly all independent from one another. As an example, you might have really good coordination, but really poor balance. Or you might have really fast reaction time, but you could struggle to be flexible. Even two athletes that have the same practice and experience could perform very differently depending on which specific motor abilities they naturally have and what they're naturally good at. A good example would be something like balance. There's static balance, like standing on one foot. Then there's dynamic balance, which we use while running or skating. You'd think this is the same skill set, but they actually use different motor abilities from one another. Another good example would be timing how to hit a baseball. It requires a different kind of timing than something like dancing or music or running at your own pace. These are just one-size-fits-all skill sets. They all require their each and own specific abilities. So to take away from this, people have different natural motor abilities, and it affects how quickly and how well we can learn those physical abilities. The idea that every single athletic person should be good at everything honestly just doesn't hold up. Instead, we have a unique mix of strengths and weaknesses, and understanding those abilities can help us train smarter and better to improve